Serious. Male rape victims, what's your story?
I was 12 summer camp. One of the counselors came at night into the dorm to check on us. He grabbed a Matchbox car and used me. I was laying in bed, as a playground. Grabbed my ding-dong and gave me head. Later that night he came and penetrated. I was not to speak about it, or else. Came home, told my parents, both told me to STFU and stop inventing stories over a doctor. 6 weeks later, the police stood in the doorway asking for me. Parents asked why? Because counselor was apprehended for child molestation, and in the confession my name came up. Parents' response, exactly nothing, nada, zippo, zilch. The biggest betrayal I've ever experienced.
I was 3. Babysitter's BF took me to a man's house where at least one person orally raped me. There might be, or might have been, photos of me being raped out in the world. I was beep up until my 30s, when I finally got help for depression, and got into some recovery. I think the same might have happened to my brother, who ended up killing himself.
I passed out drunk and a girl decided to have sex with me. She managed to get me off. Also managed to get pregnant. I only found out 5 years later. I have a kid that I have never met.
Got roofied. Pooped on his dick though.
Not exactly raped but touched and forced to touch. I was 11 and I was in a swimming team. Dressing room was empty but not as empty as I wished it had been. Never told a soul.
I'm not sure if this counts, since there was no penetration. But from the ages of 13 to 15 my father would force me to let him watch as I showered, and when I was soaping up he would slap my butt, grab my penis and shake it around while making childish sounds.
I was about 11. This older kid, I think around 15 at the time, was friends with me. Went to a really small school so a lot of classes had different age groups put together. He was funny, and he thought I was, and being socially awkward, I thought he was the coolest for noticing my existence. We started hanging out outside of school. Was invited to stay the night, his parents went to work. I don't want to be too graphic, but he forced himself on me. He was bigger than me and so I couldn't fight back. Afterwards he kept playing his Wii. Didn't tell anyone. He left school the next school year. Saw him a few years later and he acted like nothing happened. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't even process this until almost 2 years ago. I'm 21 now, and only recently have opened up about it. But I've been doing good, relatively speaking. I refuse to let a beep moment by a beep person define me. Thank you for reading.
I told my sister that I was molested and sexually assaulted, attempted rape, by my much older cousin when I was 8. She responded by telling me that it was just boys playing, and asked him to sing at her wedding very soon after.
I was 24, she was my friend's sister so I liked hanging out with her but no intention of beat my friend's sister. She invited me over to chill and wait till her brother got home to go four-wheeler riding. She wanted me to drink a 6-pack so her mom couldn't. She made pot brownies, we were smoking pot. She laced a blunt with PCP, didn't tell me. Then date raped me when I couldn't say no, then bullied me into sex with the threat she would tell her brother I used her. She left back home to London. I got the call 2 weeks later she was pregnant. I didn't allow her to bully me into moving to London to take care of her and the baby. I tried to send support but it got burned up in her family's crack pipe instead of wired to her account. I have seen him 4 times in 10 years. The only thing I was able to give him was the name Matthias and not Abedia, as his mom would have named him. I want to do so much for him.
I never really took male rape as a thing that happens often until my uncle's roommate roofied him and begged me and my mom to help him move out. His roommate was this creepy old guy as well. Beat my uncle up emotionally for a good while.
I was 5, it wasn't a family member. So I get told that makes it better. Haha. Yeah, better.
My father decided that I was sexier than my mother when I was 4. I told on him at 6 when he was about to do it to my younger brother. He did 6 years. I hope he got raped a lot.
Only my wife knows this story. Between the age of 5 and 6 I was raped by my older sister's best friend on a weekly basis, who was a female and age 11. When she would come over she would get my sister to have us play together. She then would have us play house in my room by ourselves. She will then have sex with me. She played with it, had me play with her. She would grind on it. Now remember I was 5. I actually blocked it out. When my son was 5, I started to get very protective and wouldn't let him play with his older half-sisters. I would never let him alone with them or let him be next to their friends. It all came back one night when my wife asked me why I acted the way I did. She was the only person I have ever told.
I was 6 and don't remember much other than how it felt.
I was 11 or 12. A scout leader was into hypnotism. He pierced my penis, poorly, still have the scar, and showed me pictures of other boys I knew that he had done the same to. He turned on porn and hypnotized himself. I locked him in the closet and left. Church leaders didn't believe me, and none of the other victims will speak up. I'm 36 now, and recently tracked him down. Asshole lives pretty close to me, with his wife and kids. There was also an incident in the military, but I'm not going to share that one. Edit, yes, it was Mormon, for those asking.
Jesus, those are some horrible stories here. I wanted to share a story of a girl that forced herself on me when I was drunk as hell and told her multiple times that I wasn't into her. It was really creepy because she found out that I was partying with a friend and waited hours in front of the club to pick me up when I wanted to get a lift. I felt really sick after that. But these stories here make mine seem kinda insignificant. Edit. First of all, thank you all for your kind words. This story bothers me for a long time. I was at a very bad place at that time because me girlfriend of 3 years and I had broken up a few months before, and I really just wanted to stay out of the dating game for a while, and after that happened I really felt disgusted by everything. I always thought that I was a strong guy who can deal with emotional pain, but since then I really felt weak. I always thought about sharing, but I had the feeling that people would just laugh at me because I am a guy. One of my friends said to me that I should feel happy because she's hot, and he would hope somebody would do that to him, and at this point I had to cry, and I don't do that very often. It is just a horrible feeling and I don't know how to behave. But it's really nice of you all to be so kind to me. Thank you.
I was date raped once. I remember asking for these 2 girls to meet us at a party. I totally understood they wanted to hang with us. One of the girls brought hypnotic, and I remember her making me a drink with it. I remember it tasted like cough syrup, and I understand it is a very sweet drink. Next thing I know, I'm waking up in my friend's trailer butt naked. It was the next afternoon. My buddies said that I got along really well with the girl. She gave me a foot job in front of everyone, and then we went back to the bedroom and did whatever we did. I immediately called her and asked what we did, and she said that we didn't do anything, that I fell asleep. She said I should have just beat your friend. This gave me comfort at first, but I wasn't sure. When I asked if I wore a condom for anything that we did do, she got irate and said that we did all sorts of beep including anal, and that I was gross, not her, and that I didn't wear a condom but I liked everything we did. It's really hard to argue against the fact that I probably just blacked out from drinking and was probably a willing participant. But something didn't feel right. I didn't plan to try to get with this girl. At the time I was pretty serious about health and wellness, and I wasn't keen on getting with just any girl I could. And the way she kept changing her story was really confusing. I can't prove anything. I confronted her and she knows more about whatever happened than I do. But even to this day, almost 20 years later, I still have a feeling there was something in that drink. I still have a feeling I wasn't totally there to be a willing participant. I felt very violated. I've never felt like that since then. But even as I type this, I know how it sounds, and I know there isn't much to go on other than my gut feeling. So I never did anything else about it other than telling her I really wish we would have used protection, ATLEAST. Edit. I've received so many replies and direct messages that I'm having a hard time keeping up. Thank you all for your kind words and support. I am currently in therapy for other reasons and will bring this up, as it has not been something I've thought about or talked about in many years. I consider myself lucky, as it could have been much worse. My heart goes out to all those out there that have had their lives impacted by events like this. Especially those with fewer support options. I'm a big, jovial, white dude with a lot of privilege, a lot of support, and a lot to be thankful for. I wish everyone had it as easy as me.
I was groomed and molested by a much older cousin when I was 8. It was a pretty beep time in my life outside of that, but it just all compounded when I found out the same was happening to my little brother. I tried to protect him from it and I couldn't even do that. We don't have the best relationship now. As for my cousin, he ended up getting bailed out of jail by my grandmother and my family pretends it never happened.
Mid-late 80s, nice sunny morning. I wake up and go play in the living room. Mom, go get ready and go to school. Me, but Mom, it's a stat holiday, there is no school. I don't care, just do it and don't complain, so I get dressed and head down the path to school. The playground is empty. The parking lot is empty. The first thing in my life, I'm starting to feel creeped out. I head back home. Why are you back here? There was no one there. Go knock on the door. Someone will answer. Okay, someone did answer. Some guy the first didn't know, with glasses and a grey moustache. He put his hand on my back and led me to a classroom that wasn't mine. We weren't alone. I'll end the story there.
I was raped by an older sister at the age of 5. My dad had this beaten-up truck with a covered bed, a big one with windows and such that made it look like an SUV. My older sister wanted to go play in the truck while my dad was taking a nap, so I obliged. She forced me to have oral sex with her. I remember how sunny it was outside. I remember an old Asian man walking by and stopping for a second while I was crying, but he walked off. I don't know how long that had happened for in that moment, but it only happened once. I think about that instance every day. There are times I have been molested at younger and older ages by different people, but that day with my sister is something I think about every day. I recently got diagnosed with PTSD because of it. I thought PTSD was for people who watched other people die and much more severe experiences, and I thought PTSD meant breaking down and crying every day. But it's something that repeatedly pops in and out of my head uncontrollably, and it's affected me a lot later in life as well. I had a porn addiction starting at age 12 that is just now getting addressed, and I think that me being raped may be one of the underlying issues of why it developed in the first place. I've also had a ton of codependency and relationship issues, suicide attempts, the whole nine. But yeah, it beep sucks and it happens to us too, so thanks for the question, op.
In college, she was drunk and wanted it, I did not.
I put myself in a vulnerable position. I was backpacking and met this one girl I became friendly with. I wasn't thinking of making things sexual, and one night she stayed late at my hotel. I didn't want to send her out late at night, so I let her stay with me. I usually sleep in my underwear. Guys get erections when we wake up. I started taking a new medication that gave me vivid dreams. I was still kind of asleep and I was dreaming of sex. I started to realize it was feeling too good, then realized she was grinding away on top of me, then finished internally. I started freaking out, but she was able to show me she was on her period and odds were low on a STI/STD, so I figured just unexpected morning sex. Back at home I get into a relationship and we were talking about funny/weird sexual encounters, and I brought that one up and she said, "Ooh, you were actually raped." I knew it was non-consensual, but I never really thought of it as rape until that moment. Other than a few moments of terror, I wasn't traumatized by it or anything, but I definitely take consent very seriously after.
I was date raped once. I am, and was at the time, openly gay, so I didn't think there would be any point reporting it. It's made me really hesitant to trust new men in my life and has definitely affected my well-being, but what can I do?
I was between 5 and 6 years old. A teen girl who was our neighbor brought me up into the hay loft in their barn. She taught me how to eat her out and how to finger her. She was sad that I did not have control over my dick at the time. I guess it was large when I was 5 to 6 years old, but not the size it is now. She did that with me a few times before we got caught by grandpa. He had us go into their house, then threatened me with some kind of huge knife. He scared the beep out of me to save my family. He threatened to kill me and my entire family. I never said a word. She was shipped back to Puerto Rico. The end.
When I was 7, my older half-brother would keep hitting and beating me until I did whatever he wanted me to do, and his parents, I'm adopted, would do nothing about it and would always say, "Boys will be boys." It got to a point where he'd force me into sexual acts and told me he'd make me miserable and that I'd be sorry if I told anyone. Even while he had a girlfriend, it still went on for 6+ years until I was 14, he was 15. The only reason it stopped is because I got old enough to realize how horrible I was treated and that too embarrassed to say anything for over a decade because I couldn't get anyone to listen and help. Never let your kids be bullies. Never leave kids alone together unsupervised. Never ignore a kid when they come to you for help. I don't like bullies. Captain America.
I literally want to cry reading these comments. Beep this world.
Well, it was beep and nobody cared.
May your day be filled with joy and happiness. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe for more quality content every day.